For Councilman Larry Carr, District 8. And Larry Carr cares, Buddy Pennell, when she was alive, cared deeply for the National Council of Negro Women. Oh my God, I forgot something. Please forgive me, Evangelist Sandra Green is going to come and open this up. The National Council of Negro Women opens everything with prayer. So, I got excited.
Praise God. We cannot open up without thanking God and giving Him praise. Because if it had not been for the Lord, this will not be taking place. We want to say thank you, God, this morning for the Sacramento Valley Section National Council of Negro Women, also to the 18th Annual Children Promise Conference, and youth speaking in their own voice. Father God, we just give you thanks and praise this morning, oh God. Lord, we ask you, oh God, to bless everything that will be said and done, oh God. Open our hearts to receive the word that will go forth from the youth, oh God. And Father, we just thank you for everyone that took place and have a part in this, oh God, that you will bless it, oh God. Let this be an awesome, awesome, mighty day in the name of Jesus. Lord, we thank you, God, that we are on this side, Lord. We are breathing, we are healthy, we have our health and strength, oh God. Bless every speaker that will go forth, every word, open our hearts, bless those who are on their way, Father God. And we just thank you for this mighty event, this conference, oh God, that as we go forth, oh God, we'll share, God, and every year, God, will grow, God, in your name. We thank you for the seed that's planted, oh God. We thank you for everything that will go forth this morning, oh God, in the mighty, mighty name of Jesus. We pray. Amen.
Amen. That's not on your program, but just to say hello, this is Cheryl Denise Hughes. She's a nurse at Kaiser Permanente, and a very good one. We were doing the cancer, come on. She was doing the cancer walk, and a man just came up and said, "You were my nurse. Thank you for being so kind to me." So that is a good thing.
Good morning and welcome. Well, thank you for coming out for our 18th Annual Children of Promise Conference. I'm excited. Are you guys excited? Looking forward to hearing our youth speak in their own voices.
Yes.
Amen? Yes. All right. Thank you, Miss Tommy.
All right. Miss Tony, who speaks Italian fluently, raised enough money to get herself traveled to Italy, and is now an intern with Councilman Larry Carr.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
All right, so I'm so glad to be here today, and I hope everyone got themselves some breakfast. I heard it's the most important meal of the day. But before I get started, I would like to see something really quickly. So raise your hand if you expected for the council member Larry Carr to be speaking to you right now. Yeah, me too. So what you said. Raise your hand if you expected for the council member Larry Carr to be speaking to you right now. Okay. Yes. Yeah, we're all on the same page coming straight out of the gate. So this is a surprise for me as well. The council member regrets that he wasn't able to make it today, but as Ms. Whitlow introduced me, my name is Joelle Tony. I am a recent UC Davis graduate. Thank you. I also consider myself a youth educator. This summer, I participated in my first Freedom Summer, and I had a classroom with about 12 youth, and it was absolutely incredible how much they were able to teach me over the summer. After that experience, I was fortunate enough to be hired by the councilman's office as the outreach coordinator, and I always love to remember the people, the organizations, and the mentors who have supported me and molded me to be a confident African woman in this country. And the history, the rich history of African Americans and our bright future legacy. I would like to thank Ms. Tommy Whitlow and the National Council of Negro Women, the National Association of Black Social Workers, the California Endowment, and the Pinnell Meadowview Community Center, and all of the influential supporters who have made an event like this possible. So, according to the Pew Research Center, our demographic, young people, are the most powerful and energetic group that is capable of changing the trajectory of politics in this country.
All right.
We not only outnumber all age demographics as registered voters, but we outnumber the baby boomers, and we're the only demographic that is capable of changing everything that's going on. So that's why conferences like this are so important. To hear young voices, experiences, ideas, and truths. Our voices matter, right? So times are changing, and the young people who are going to come up here and speak to us today are going to impart nuggets of wisdom and insight for all of us. They're not just the leaders of tomorrow, but they're the leaders of today.
Yes.
So as a community, we must do everything we can to empower and uplift young people. At the council office, we don't just do this as an ideal. We show this through our actions. So in the coming weeks, the North Laguna Valley High Library will be hosting the much anticipated grand opening of the Boys and Girls Club, which our office supported from start to finish. In addition, we have contributed over $100,000 each in funds to the Sacramento Impact Program in Meadowview and Macro communities, which provides quality programming to young people ages 5 through 17 in art, journalism, sports, and many other activities. In addition, we have been funding STEM programs, which gives young people exposure to the fastest growing careers, not just in this country, not just in this state, but all over the world.
Yes.
So, I could go on and on and on and on and on and on and on about what our council office is doing to support young people, important youth education programs and activities in the city, I mean. So, in closing, I want to share our deepest appreciation for the organizers of this conference, and I'm looking forward to learning from the young people who are going to come up next. Thank you.
I liked very much the comment you made about the baby boomers being outnumbered by the younger generation. Being a baby boomer myself, that's telling that not many of us are around and many of us are leaving. And I don't like the thought that I'm leaving. I have that potential to leave real soon. One of the things I want to remind you of, as chair of the Black Girls School Board, one of the responsibilities that I have is to educate the public. I had an opportunity to do a presentation on race a couple of weeks ago, and I was real stunned when I got to the bottom piece of that discussion and said that race is a made-up label, that people were real confused about that. And so today I brought, because I want you to see an article by the National Geographic that said very clearly that race is a made-up label, and that it was made up for a particular purpose. And I wanted to make sure that anybody wants to get a copy of that particular article, you can grab this document, and it's on the Black Girls School Board table. You can grab one of these before you leave. Now, what's so significant about the National Geographic is that they were the ones responsible for creating the myth in the first place. The National Geographic goes back to 1888. And now they finally decided to apologize to all U.S. citizens and citizens of the world and finally tell the truth. So if you want to grab that off the table, we'd appreciate it. We'd appreciate it. What we have here sitting in front of you are two people that I've had the honor to work with extensively for the last several years. Then I have Crandall Rankins. And Crandall Rankins, as most of you already know, has been around for a long time. He's a native of Chicago. He's a father and brother, pastor, mentor, and community elder. He's a spoken word artist and motivational speaker. Crandall earned a master's degree in counseling and Christian education. He has led and served in youth leadership, character development, and behavior modification programs for over 32 years. And is now serving as an educational consultant assisting in the development of the Men's Leadership Academy in the Sacramento Unified School District. Crandall is the co-founder and executive director of Crossover Scholar Athletes Power Forward program and the Power Forward program. Through his programs, he has assisted over 2,000 students to attend colleges and universities across the United States. A number of athletes have gone on to professional sports, and others along the non-athletes have received master's degrees and PhDs. They are now pastors, community leaders, entrepreneurs, in middle and upper corporate management roles, and most, in some ways, are making a difference in our world. Crandall teaches his students that anything is possible, to dream and dream big. He further instructs, as your dreams are coming true and you're reaching your goals, don't step on or over people. Reach out, help those around you all along the way. Crandall is a mentor and spiritual father to more than he can count. He's a mentor and spiritual father to more people than he can count. He says, I'm here to carry on the legacy of Dr. King and others who have paved the way for our people and train up the next generation to do the same. So I introduce to you Isaiah Soto and Crandall Records.
Yes.
Now the students will rotate in and out, which means this group, after they're finished with their conversations with you, another group will come up. First person to speak will be the student. The student will have 15 minutes, followed by the mentor, who will have 10 minutes. And so are we ready? Hearing nothing, we're not ready. So let me tell you another story until we get you ready, but I won't do that. All right. Isaiah.
So first, I kind of just like to introduce myself. I am a young man in this world. I'm mixed. Went through a lot of racial things growing up, not really knowing where to fit in, where I place myself. But I do know I have power. I do know that I can make an impact. In any situation I'm in, I have power and potential to make an impact. So always knew I would fit in to the role of making change. That I would fit in to stepping up as a leader. So I knew I was that out of all things. So that being said, I remember actually Crandall Rankins right here, this brother right here. I'll tell you like this. He's a really decent man because he's brought me to where I am today. I remember in 8th grade, that's really when my whole activism type of thing even sparked because of him. I sat in on a zero tolerance, or not a zero tolerance, actually the Black Parallel School Board actual event they were holding. And I was, by chance, able to sit in on it and give my input. Crandall asked me, what do you think we should teach at this event? What workshop would you like to see as a young mixed brother? What would you like to see? And when he asked me that, I kind of looked at him like, I'm not a part of this, but I'll go ahead and I gave my input. And I knew when I gave my input, he actually used some of the things I said and put them in workshops. There, I wasn't able to attend, but me even being able to give my input into something so big, it changed. And I didn't see him for maybe about 6 to 8 months after that. But one day I was in school and I seen him, he stopped me. And he was like, come here. And he shook my hand and he said, you need to be a part of this, where you at? And at that time, I wasn't as focused on making change and being in places where I can make change. But hearing what he had to say, having him with authority tell me, you're destined for better, you have more power, you just have to access it, you have to be willing to put yourself in those places of change. So, that being said, for me, that's really when it all started, me wanting to step into my role of leadership, wanting to just understand like the full capacity of what I can be. Really when I really understood I had to move in a different direction with my life. And I'm the second oldest in the household of 7, including my mother, which is a single mom. Always been that way. And I'm just grateful to be where I am now. I'm involved in a lot of community not only within this community, but other communities that I've lived in, other places I've been, and just seeing the different areas. I just put myself in a position to where if I see a problem, I can be in a place where I can give solutions, where I can come up with those solutions. So that was really my thing, like with Crandall, is getting me in that place to where now I actually have a goal, I have a purpose, I know some sort of direction for my life. So it was really good doing that, and just me as a person is shaping who I am. So that's kind of who I am. I want to empower those around me. I'm an advocate for any problem that I see and want to change. I do my best to put myself in a place where I can make that change the right way, the way that's effective, and that's really me as a person. I'm very family oriented as well. So those who are either blood family or considered family because I care so much about the things that go on. So that's pretty much me and who I am, and I'll tell you a little bit more about me. So first, I want to start off by telling you guys a story that I wrote, so I'm going to read it to you. Alright, just stick with me. It's kind of long, but the story is about a boy. It's a boy who was born in poverty. This boy's mother dealt with an inconsistency when it came to parental support. As she had a lack of guidance, she dealt with the devil in the unhealthy walks of life, such as abuse, drug use, criminal activity, and physical violence. She also was involved in young, unprotected sex, and she had her first child at age 17. And if you're wondering how this ties into the little boy, we're getting there. Because a year later, she gives birth to a boy. The boy, in turn of the mother's choices, lives in poverty. And this boy went nights with little to no food. The mother then woke up and began to want to change her lifestyle to better suit the livelihood of her children. So she starts to seek financial stability. So she searches for work. As she searches for work, she leaves her children in the care of her mother. In the care of her grandmother, or in the care of his grandmother, the boy witnessed molestation from the grandmother's boyfriend and also experiences it. The boy is 5 when this takes place, and it's something that will stick with the boy forever. It turned out the boyfriend of the grandmother had also molested the boy's mother. Growing up, the boy had trouble coping and would go into a state of silence. The mother then moved away to get her children away early on. And at age 9, the boy deals with the loss of a friend due to cancer. And at age 14 to 17, the boy experiences death of multiple close friends due to shootings. The boy lives better now, but still in poverty on the brink of going downhill financially. Along this journey, the mother finally realizes what she pours into her children makes the difference. And overall, the well-being of her children, despite what the boy went through, the different traumas he faced, to the point of getting shot at, the boy is able to stand strong and move positively in the direction of light, because maybe financially he's not stable, but there's stability in the motives and intents of the mother to build her son's character. Now this boy of hers plans to attend college and is involved in community change, talks amongst those in legislation, as well as connects and pushes those around him in the direction of prosperity. That being said, the boy was able to make it through hardships, but could not do it alone. He needed the support of his loving parent. This boy is so dear to me because I was that little boy. Now I've grown into a young man seeking my manhood on my path and moving in the right direction. And you see, the support is what we need to prosper. I even came to a realization just recently. I went back to my hometown in Bakersfield, and I was out there getting experience in construction masonry buildings. And it happened so unplanned that I had this feeling that I had to go see my great-grandmother, to go see your great-grandmother. My great-grandmother has suffered dearly, is 92, and she's been at her deathbed about 6 times, multiple seizures. She can barely talk, but I knew for some reason I had to go see her. So I went and I see my grandmother. And as I talked to her, she explains her past as she's trying to talk, and my other grandmother was with me, who was able to tell me a little bit more about where do I come from. I hadn't seen her since I was 4. So in that situation, I learned something. It's that we do need our parents' support, but we also need generational support for the things that we're going through. And it was just eye-opening to me to really grasp it all, just understanding the different things she faced. But still, her body's so frail, but spirit is so strong, still. Because that's where our strengths come from. It's generational strength that we need to have understanding of in order to move forward and be able to access our power, because everybody has it within them. You just have to know about it. You have to be educated on how do I use it. And that only happens with the connection between the parents and also the grandparents. As far as we can go back, that's what needs to take place, is that connect. It's a disconnect between these generations within that. And once we fix that connection and able to connect and see where do I come from? All right, now what type of strengths do I have and how can I use them? That's when we'll move forward impactfully, like we'll be able to actually really make strong change, because everybody will hold each other accountable, and that's what we're really missing. But it came to me in that situation that I learned that we just need generational support. So that was kind of just a little background. I was a little vulnerable there, but we really just need to come together as one, and it should work as a unit, but we have to know where we came from first. So I would say one thing as adults that we can do is build that gap, bridge it to where we know where we come from and we also know where we're going. And that's really the only way that it works properly. So what we're looking for really is on both ends, our younger generation of people being able to be willing to accept that information, to be susceptible to that information. And when that happens, we'll be able to make positive change and keep going.
So I ask a question as well. But I want you to tell me about student voice and how important it is, especially when adults are always making decisions that impact you. What do you want to tell them in terms of how much and how far they should go with student voice?
Going on how I feel about student voice. Student voice does matter. You don't necessarily have any school system without the students in it. If you don't have the students, there's no school. There's nobody to teach without the students. And oftentimes, when things are made and things are put in place, they don't involve the viewpoints of the student. And that's something that needs to change, because you don't realize what you're designing for that you think will work for these students may not work for those students. If you're not willing to open that bridge and ask them what would work for you, you'll never know how to make it work. And that's how I feel about student voice. I've had my encounters with it. Even I go to Sacramento Charter High School, and even dealing with things there, even being involved in leading a protest. I won't talk too much about it because it's quite lengthy, but you understand on the level of these people in power. It's just you have to reach out to all people that are going to be affected by it. You can't just solely be selfish and worry about what's affecting you or your pay or your money. It has to be more than that and more than money. So that's just how I feel feel about student voice. Students should be very involved and should advocate for themselves in a very educated way and respectful way, but they should stand up as students.
For me, I'm very proud of Isaiah and the accomplishments that he's made, the things that he's been able to, the storms that he's been able to go through, and come out standing up strong, and continue to see how he can use to make his world a better place. And in the discussions that we have, the things that we learned in our zero tolerance group, the things that Mr. White, Mr. Peterson share with the students, and then I take them back over and making sure that it gets down inside them. It's not just surface knowledge, but that they get an understanding of the importance of the issues that they're dealing with and addressing. And then from there, then they can make real decisions. They can actually come up with solutions that work. And so Isaiah is the third generation of students that we work with at Sacramento High School. And yeah, you can do a hand on that. Because of the continuous flow of building these young people to be leaders that have voice, they've been able to conduct professional development for teachers and administrators, dealing with implicit bias, dealing with restorative justice, and other measures that things that really matter for them. And so it's important that we, as I'm a baby boomer too, and that we as adults are enabling our students all along the way. And now I'm reaching to parents. We actually have a parent coordinator that's reaching to parents and working with parents from the Black Trevor School Board. Now I'm working with a team of alumni from Sac High to build an alumni association so that they can help support their now peers. And so I'm excited about the possibilities that are there because we're enabling them to be able to speak up. Isaiah, along with the other students that have worked, they have helped to get 7 bills passed. 7 bills. And the reality is that they went in and spoke up and challenged our legislators to vote in ways that they might not have voted because they were there. They got the vote. Change is coming.
Are you ready?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Morning, morning.
My name is Courtney Black, and I'm a senior at Simpson High School, and I'm going to be talking to you about my spiritual journey and how to make me a better person. God is well I've known, with my mom reading Bible stories to me, my siblings before bedtime, family prayer. God is all I've known, with my mom reading Bible stories to me, my siblings before bedtime, family prayer, attending church regularly, and playing gospel music throughout the house. And whenever I woke up to gospel music on a Saturday morning, I knew it was playing big. When I turned 1, my family and I moved to Sacramento, and that's when we started attending St. Paul Missionary Baptist Church under the great influence of our wonderful pastor, Dr. Ethan Williams. All my life, my parents have incorporated God and the importance of having a personal relationship with our Heavenly Father. My parents made sure my siblings and I were active and involved in the church. We would attend Sunday school, Bible study, choir, as well as the praise team, help out with the clothes ministry, and the Thanksgiving, Christmas dinners our church hosts every year. I'm thankful that my parents, Kevin and Kim Black, raised my siblings and I that way, because without them, I wouldn't be as close to God as I am now. Along my Christian journey, I've become a better person, and that has made me become involved in many activities in and outside of the church. Outside of my church, I let my light shine, and people always come up to me and tell me how I'm different from everyone else, and that they see that throughout my actions. At my school, I'm the secretary of a club called Best Buddies, and this is a club where we form friendships between the regular ed students and the kids with mental disabilities. Because of my relationship with God, I'm able to show and give love as He tells us in His Word. I'm happy to say that I was blessed with parents that care enough to be involved not only spiritually, but with my education as well. My freshman year, I was automatically placed in Earth Science, Introduction to High School Math, and regular English. Being a new high schooler, I didn't realize that those classes were for the kids that didn't get the best of grades in junior high, but had straight A's. So my dad went up to talk to the administration, and I ended up being placed in biology, honors English, and the higher math class.
Amen.
And if my dad would have never gone up to the school, I would have been in the classes that I wasn't supposed to be taking. I want to encourage the parents of the youth to be more involved with their children, so that they can catch mistakes that we may not know about, and to help us and to lead us and guide us. A lot of people think that we as young people don't have a relationship with God, but some of us do, and I got closer to Him on December 2nd, 2016. That was the first preseason soccer game my sophomore year, and that was also the night I was announced captain of the team. Within the first few minutes of the game, while I was playing, I had the ball and I accidentally twisted my body, but my foot stayed in the same place. I injured myself, and come to find out later that month, I tore my ACL. Following that was a long process with the brace, crutches, surgery, and plenty of physical therapy. Once this event happened to me, I started praying a lot more, especially for myself, to heal faster, to play soccer again, and etc. But what would have helped is if I had consistent prayer like before, because I shouldn't have prayed only when I was in need, but also to give thanks and to rejoice. I'm not saying I never prayed to God until my injury, but I am saying that once it happened, I saw a shift in how often I prayed and how I prayed. What did help me was believing in God and trusting Him in the process of my need. Psalms 50:15 says, call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver thee, and thou shalt glorify me. After going through all of this, I'm different today because having that small downfall made me a stronger person and built my faith in God. Plenty of times throughout the process, I asked God, why? Why does that have to happen to me, and this is such bad timing? Even though I had all these questions, God still knew what He was doing. By believing in God and trusting in His process, I was able to get back to the full mobility of my knee, and I'll be trying out for this year's soccer team on Monday. My focus isn't to just talk to you guys about some injury that happened to me, but to show you an example of how trusting and believing in God is an important part of anybody's spiritual journey, even when it seems like there's no hope. Nobody said that this journey was going to be easy, so trusting in God in worried times can show you how powerful He is. The problem is that the youth nowadays let temporary problems have permanent effects on their lives, and they don't look at these problems as something that they can overcome. For example, struggling with schoolwork, learning in an environment surrounded by nobody that looks like you, problems at home, problems in society, and many more. Things happen, but you don't realize that with God, He'll come through, just like He did with me and my injury. To this day, I have this scar from surgery, but it symbolizes multiple things. It reminds me of the hardship God put me through, but it also reminds me of how He helped me overcome that struggle and to not let it stop me from continuing on productively with my life. Overall, I want you to know that with this spiritual journey, it can improve you as a person, even if there's trials and tribulations. Also, for the parents, I would like to say, be involved in your youth school lives and lives in general, because you guys are the people we look up to and go to for advice. I would like to say thank you to National Sacramento section for having me.
We really appreciate your words. Let's see what your mentor thinks.
Hello, my name is Gianna Lewis, and my husband and I are the chair and co-chairpersons of the youth ministry at St. Paul, which Courtney is a very prominent person, a very helpful person within that ministry. We turn to Courtney for a lot of different things within that ministry because Courtney is a person who loves the Lord and who lets her light shine the light shine from her in anything that she does. You just heard Courtney speak about her journey and how her parents have incorporated God in her life, how she went through some struggles that made her a stronger person, how her prayer life became more important. It changed when she went through the struggles in her life. And as I listened to Courtney, as I read her story, I thought about Proverbs 22:6, where it says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Courtney mentioned also that, most of all, she was blessed to have her parents in her spiritual life, as well as in her life at home, and her life at school. And so I say to the parents today, love your children, spend time with your children, lift your children, encourage your children, give your children limitations, discipline them, be there for them. Don't let them walk this journey on their own. We need to be there for them to support them. And that is what Courtney's parents has done for her. We need to lead them, instruct them. We need to laugh with them, have a good time with them. And most of all, just be there for them. Through their spiritual walk in school, through their life at home, we just need to be there with them. And as their youth leaders, you know, as they say, it takes a village to raise a child. As their youth leaders, we are trying to be part of that village. We know that there's single parents. We know that there's grandparents. We know that there's children out there that have no parents. So we can't replace their parents, but we try to be there with them. We try to be an outlet for them. So when we're doing Bible study, we give that child an opportunity to tell us, how's your day going? How was your week? What are you going through? Is there anything that you need? We try to help them in any way we possibly can. We feed them. We don't know when a child has had their last meal. We feed them every Wednesday. We feed that child. But we try to be part of that community. And as I said, Courtney plays a big role in our youth ministry. She is there for us in anything that we do, and I appreciate her very much.
Courtney, do you have issues with other students on the campus when you are known as a Christian student, and how do you deal with it?
I wouldn't say I have.
Let's wait for the question.
Okay. I wouldn't say I have issues with people at school, but then knowing that I am a follower of God, they do say that they try to limit themselves and how they act around me. So not really problems, but they know how to act a certain way to me. And I told them they don't really have to limit themselves, but they do know that I am a Christian and that I follow God, and yeah.
We're on call. Okay, Regina Bryan was diagnosed with major depressive disorder and post-traumatic stress disorder when she was 13 years old. Since becoming more stable in her recovery, she has dedicated her life to mental health advocacy. In 2018, she received her bachelor's degree in social work from Sacramento State University and now works as a housing and resource specialist for STARS Behavioral Health Group, helping transitional age youth living with mental illness secure housing and other resources. Then we have David Bain. David is the executive director for NAMI Sacramento, the local affiliate of the National Alliance for Mental Illness. He has been with the organization for 7 years, the first 3 on the board of directors, and now serving as the executive director. David also spent 6 years on the City of Sacramento's Disability Advisory Committee. In his role as director, David runs the day-to-day operations of an organization dedicated to improving the lives of people living with mental illness and the lives of those who love someone living with mental illness. He is a passionate advocate for mental health parity and strives to normalize conversations about mental illness. Let's welcome. Gina, we'll begin with you.
Thank you. So I am not African American, but I'm nonetheless grateful that I was invited here. So thank you for having me. I would like to start off that usually when I tell my story, I grew up in a Latin household. My mother is white, but my father is Hispanic, and I was raised by my grandmother. My grandmother was very proud of her Latin culture. Some of the things that she taught me was the importance of family. God first, family second, but that was the main one. And also, if you were ever sick and had to deal with an illness, you relied on prayer and lots of paperwork. And that was how our culture dealt with illness. I got around a lot of abuse, substance use with relatives. My father had been incarcerated for the majority of my life, and I had to deal with a lot of instability growing up. A lot of these factors played into my mental illness. I had been abused by a family member, and that had led to me having a fear of very loud sounds. So the example of this is called hypervigilance, that if someone would just slam a door, a normal reaction would be to kind of just shake, not to run and scream and feel that you're being attacked by somebody. Over the years of my childhood, I had dealt with restlessness, paranoia, hopelessness, and my family wanted what's best for me. They would tell me that you can do it, you just gotta be strong, you can pick it up, you can just snap out of it, it will be okay. But it never quite got better. My personal favorite was my grandmother always said, you gotta be strong, you're a Mexican, not a Mexican. I still say that to myself sometimes when I need a little bit of inspiration. But that didn't deal with the symptoms that I was facing. And in my household, mental illness was not talked about. We just had to be strong. So when I was diagnosed at the age of 13 with depression and post-traumatic stress disorder, my family didn't quite understand what that meant. I needed to pray more. I needed to devote myself to God. I needed to devote myself to my family. I should look at how strong my relatives are and be just like them. And I wanted nothing more than to be strong for myself and for my family. And so, after trying and not succeeding, I had made my first suicide attempt at age 14. Where my family, instead of being embraced and saying that it was okay, I was told that God only had the right to choose when we live or when we die. And that if I wanted to really be involved in recovery, I just need to stop the medications and I needed to stop the therapy. And that's what I did. I devoted myself to my family and my faith and my education. I covered my body in paper rag because that was what I was taught. And although I never quite lost my faith in God, I still attend Mass every Sunday. My symptoms had only begun to get worse. I would either feel too intensely or not at all. I wouldn't address the trauma, so I engaged in substance use. Sometimes I would check out or dissociate from reality and come to and not know where I was. All of these led to a point that when I was 18 years old, I became homeless while trying to finish my senior year in high school. I had gotten into college being the first in my family to do so and flunked out my first year because I couldn't handle my symptoms. All that time, my family had not known what to do with me, and due to the instability in my home, I went through the foster care system. So much instability and not being able to cope that I felt that it was all on me, that I just was too weak to deal with the real world. It wasn't until I had lived with a family member in Sacramento in 2015, my godmother, who had taken me to my first NAMI walk. For the first time in public, I've heard somebody talk about mental illness. For the first time, I heard somebody say that there was an explanation, a chemical imbalance of why I was acting the way that I was acting. Of course, nurture plays a part, but it's much bigger than my experiences. There was a name. From there, I went to college at Sac State, and when I had my first breakdown, I knew where to go. I went to my counseling center, I received services, I was put on medication, and I was able to start my recovery with the support of my then boyfriend and very close friends, including a foster group community that I had met at Sac State. In receiving that treatment, I was able to do things I could never imagine, like graduate with a bachelor's degree, get married, hold a full-time job,
and learn how to repair those relationships with my family because that was what was important to me. All of this because I decided to confront my illnesses head on. And I learned that along my journey that my weakness wasn't trying and not getting it. My true strength, my true weakness was from not confronting it at all. My strength came from when I was able to say that I had a problem and I wanted help. I understand that in family dynamics, things are different. In my household, we didn't talk about it. And I never had anyone say that they were proud of me or they were going to support me. And I think that was helpful in my recovery. And I'll give you an example. In 2016, I was placed on a psychiatric hold in the hospital. You may be familiar with the term 5150. I am deemed to be a danger to myself, and I had been hospitalized. Upon my release from the hospital, my younger brother, who had come through a similar journey with me of abuse and instability, visited me at my home the next day, not knowing what had happened. But I found myself pouring my heart and soul out to him. The only thing he had asked me is if it was his fault of what I had happened to me. And I told him, of course not. This is much bigger than you. But I'm going to work on it and I'm going to get help. And what he had told me was, I don't understand, but I love you anyways, and I'm willing to learn. And in that moment, I knew that I had an ally in my own family. And that means more to me than anything. So I would say among families, support is important. It's absolutely, and I've seen it and heard it reiterated today, support is key. And whether you're a mental health advocate or may not know who that is, the ability to learn about the resources that are out there, they are out there. I heard from a church that I went to that God has given us wonderful gifts. And one of the wonderful gifts He gives us are the community resources that we have and the people who are willing to help. And involve, if you're seeing somebody in your family who are exhibiting symptoms that you may not know, along with researching them, just let them know that even if you don't understand, you still love them. You're still proud of them. Because for me, that's why I'm able to sit here today and tell you all the amazing things that I've done. The support of family is above all else. Thank you.
Thank you for having us here today. We really appreciate being able to get our message out. 7 years ago, I was looking for a new organization to help out, and I came across NAMI, and I really liked the look of it. It was founded in the 70s. Back then, psychiatric hospitals were emptying out and sending patients home with a bottle of pills and no instructions. So family members didn't know what to do, and no one was helping them out. The community-based programs didn't really exist very much back then. So family members started gathering themselves in their basements, in their kitchens, what have you, and offering each other support and sharing with each other whatever information they could glean about mental illness and how to support their loved ones. So we were founded as a family support organization. And then in 1983, somebody went around the country and grabbed all these disparate groups and gathered them into NAMI. And from there, we created our official programs of family support and family to family, which is a class that helps family members. And everything we do is on lived experience, so it's family members helping family members. And then we started creating those same programs for the people who are living with a mental health issue. So we have support groups for that, and we have a class called Peer-to-Peer. And then we do also presentations in the community to get rid of the stigma and the discrimination that comes with living with a mental health condition. So I have a few statistics for you. 1 in 5 people are impacted by mental illness. So consider the people in this room, 20% of the people in this room are living with a mental illness. The county that we live in, there is 1.5 million people. And using that statistic of the 1 in 5, that means of 1.5 million people, over 270,000 are living with a mental illness. So the issue is quite large. There's no racial, cultural, gender, or socioeconomic barrier to mental illness. Anybody can get it.
whether it's genetic or environmental or trauma-based, anybody can be impacted by mental illness, and it can come at any point in their life. Typically, the age ranges are 14 to 24. So that's when we're really trying to do the type of outreach and hit those kids early, because there's 8 to 10 years of delay on the average right now for when people are first diagnosed to when they actually get into treatment. And the longer that delay is, the more catastrophic the impact is over the long-term person of their life. So things like homelessness and drug abuse and suicide, that's a big indicator. So we're trying to improve that by bringing our programs to kids, but also to parents. For kids, 50% of the people who live with a disorder develop that, start showing symptoms by the age of 14. 75% have started by 24. Approximately 50% of kids over 15 and living with an untreated disorder drop out of school. Approximately 70% of the youth in the state and local juvenile justice system have an untreated mental health disorder. 70. Suicide is the second leading cause of death in teenagers. 90% of the youth who have died by suicide have an underlying disorder. For some good news, suicide is a preventable cause of death. We can't help that. Now, Gina has shown it is quite possible for someone to be impacted at a young age and still come out on top. She's doing a fantastic job. She's got a job in her career field, and she's got lots of friends and a successful career. So, good job. We do a lot of outreach into the community. We've got a table back there right now. You can go back there and talk to Jesse or Brandy and find out more information about us. But when we do outreach events in the community, I find a lot of people, when they come up, I tell them about what we do, they say, well, this sounds great for my loved one or my friend. And I say, well, no, this is also great for you, because we're talking about the most complex organ of the body, and it's the brain. And so people can't do that alone. It's very difficult to try to fix this issue, to address your mental health by yourself. And so they need family members and they need friends to be engaged. If I were to break my leg, a family member or a friend would take me to the hospital. They wouldn't just walk away and not know what to do with me. If I go into the hospital, family and friends are going to come see me. They're not going to avoid me. And right now, when people come out and they say, I have a mental health issue, the typical response is denial, awkward silence, or avoidance. And that's not helping the individual, and it's not helping the greater family, because that impact does spread across the family. So again, we have our programs. I advocate strongly for family members to be involved and to inform themselves, to get support, either through your own avenues or come through NAMI or other organizations that are out there. Get the education, find out as much as you can about your loved one's diagnosis, so that way you know what's going on, and that way you can support them, but also make sure you're taking care of yourself. Because I've seen family members who have gone 100% for their loved one, and sometimes there's siblings that get left out, and sometimes the family member themselves, they end up burning out, and at some point in their life they have to tell their ill loved one, go away. And it's a heartbreaking decision for people to have to make. But this is a thing where there's no cure for brain disorders. There's only treatment. And so you're talking about some people who for 20, 30, 40 years are going to be living with this sort of thing. So you have a parent who is strongly active in trying to maintain their child's health, is doing that for 60 or 70 or 80 years, and they can't. So at some point, we've got to make sure you're taking care of yourself so you can also take care of your loved one. You can't pour tea from an empty cup.
Today, glad people had the ability to come and sit with us and talk about some of the things that are most important to you. I have a question for both of you before I turn over the questioning to the audience, and that is, what do you say to school officials, and what do you say to of identifying students who may be suffering and be in need of help?
Part of when I got my social work degree, I actually did an internship at a middle school in Sac City Unified School District. And they have student support centers where you can go if you're in need of help, and they do assessments. And they also have, if you want to talk to a school official and say, I'm just interested, because all of it comes from the self-interest of your child. So I'm concerned about my child. Is there anything I can do? A lot of these support centers and counseling centers also know kind of where in the community you can get help. We have information, about Medi-Cal, different insurances. But it's, best to go to those centers as a start so that they can give you the resources to move elsewhere. But those are the main holes in your schools that you would want to go to.
Sometimes we see cases of withdrawal. It's a major personality change for your child. Usually it's with being withdrawn, becoming very angry or irritable. Sometimes it's a matter of you'll see cutting. Sometimes you might see them cutting themselves, or you'll see cuts on them that they can't explain. And sometimes, hopefully, they'll actually come to you and say something. Whether you're a teacher or a parent, slow down and listen to them. Because oftentimes, what I've heard back from kids is I approached my parent or I approached a teacher and I said something, but I got blown off as being teenage hormones. And unfortunately, there is a little bit of similarity between a kid who becomes sullen and irritable and cranky, and they might just be 14 years old, but they might be developing a mental health issue. So that's where you need to slow down and take some time and have a discussion with them. But also make sure you're going out and informing yourself. Don't just upfront deny it, because that will lead to the kid going elsewhere, possibly self-medicating, possibly running away. So just my big thing is to slow down and get some support, to listen to the kid and get some information for yourself.
Any questions? Oh, hands went up. Our runner, can our runner come forward?
Pleasure to meet you. And you're glad it doesn't matter whether you're African American or not. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
And keep it real. Thank you very much. Isaiah, Courtney, Gina. There's some things that occurs to me because I do a lot of work with youth. And number one, all three of what I've heard so far has just been phenomenal, and I really appreciate you. You've come a long way. And one of the things that I think about quite often is, sometimes when you get isolated and you're trying to decide, okay, what do I do? I have to help myself. Yeah, that's true. But those of us in this room that are adults, and yeah, part of dating boomers too, we have to discern and pay attention to what it is that we need to do a better job in helping you, okay? You're not on this journey by yourself. You really aren't. And I applaud your efforts because, it takes a lot for you to, kind of pull yourself up by the bootstraps and get your education and all that. But the other thing, too, that the message that I need to give to the adults in this room, the other adults in this room.
I was just going to say that. I just want to say that I am happy to have someone here to talk about mental illness. It doesn't mean that we're crazy. It just means that we need help. We need help to function. It may mean that we need to take medication. And we're not saying that you can't pray. You can't say, not saying that you can't have faith. We're going to do all of those. But we're going to get the medication that we need, and we're going to talk about it. It doesn't mean that we're crazy. Do you remember when Katrina came and they put out a sign in New Orleans about mental health, and nobody went in to get help because people were saying, I'm not crazy. But when they went in and put out health, then the people went in. So I don't know how you get rid of the stigma. All I'm saying is for us for our children, if our children needs help, we're going to get it for them. And it doesn't mean that we're crazy, it just means that we need help, and we may need a little medication to help us be normal and sit in class and learn and graduate and be functional people. I noticed that, at least I was told that Kaiser has something over there about mental health as well. So let's do it, and if you belong to Kaiser, just go out and get some help. and while I have the mic, we're going to ask the people who spoke already to come back. We're really in good time. Come back and we're going to ask some questions and talk some more.
Services. And so I'm just interested in how services are being delivered to children in the school setting. I think also about, and I know health plans also are supposed to be widening their services for mental health. And is it culturally relevant? Is it also offering counseling? And a lot of times, we want to give kids medication, but a lot of times we just need someone to talk to. And so is that funding allowing flexibility, I guess is what I'm asking. Is it allowing flexibility in how services are provided to children and their families?
We're not seeing the effect yet of a whole lot in the way of funding. We do a program a presentation program called Ending the Silence for middle and high school kids. We offer that at no cost. Our problem is actually getting into the schools. And usually schools are reactionary versus being proactive. So after something happens, then they'll bring us in. So that's been our issue there. We have a program also called Mommy on Campus, which is this club, like French Club or Chess Club, but it's Mental Illness Awareness Club. So the kids work on that. I would like to bring support groups in. I've done some workshops at a couple of high schools, and I've had kids ask for support groups. So that's something that I'm working on ourselves with our capacity. We're a small organization, but we're trying to have a big impact. And so we're working now with Sac City Unified School District to try to improve that.
Thank you. I'm going to begin with a question for my students here. And if adults want to chime in, that's fine as well. I can remember being a baby boomer and being a high school principal as well, that when I had a fight on campus, students would come and see me, and I'd find out what happened, and I'd do what I could to make sure it wouldn't happen again, and then I'd send them home for a few days on what we call a suspension. Well, things don't look like that anymore. Typically now in high schools, students are not always suspended, but their police are called in and they're cited, and they're forced to go to court. It's what we call double jeopardy. I want to find out what the students feel about that. We'll begin with you, and then we'll pass the mic down that direction.
So, with the police being involved with the fights, I feel like they're gearing that towards the black students, because usually on campus, it's like known for the black students to be involved in fights and different situations like that. So yes, it's good to help them and to not let it happen again on campus. But for the double jeopardy,
Yes.
I don't know too much about that. But yeah, that's for when the fights happen. So if that's what's happening nowadays and that's now not how it was back then there must have been just how people look at us nowadays.
Thank you. Isaiah?
So how I feel about the policing on campus, I feel the reason for it is like misconstrued as far as how they use it now. At times they really can use it against the student, and it's really supposed to be for the protection of the actual school itself from maybe external things outside of the school. But I feel oftentimes it's not the external proactiveness is not used, it's more used to just target a lot of kids. And as far as the targeting part, I don't agree with it. And I don't feel that it should be used in that way. So.
Randall, do you want to address that?
I think that change must come. That we need to reset how police are being used on our campuses. There's a young man now, Justin Brown, who is seeking to bring that kind of change, but at the same time, we as community members, as parents and adults, we need to really be assessing how police are being used. And like Isaiah said, it's usually, and also when he said that it's usually a target situation, and it's not supposed to be done that way. There are counselors, there are support systems on campus so that they don't have to bring in police. There's a way to do it without bringing in police, especially citing students. That is just, to me, absolutely unnecessary. They can do it in a different way.
I agree that it can be done in a different way. I believe that on the school campuses, they have campus security. I believe that they should use the security that they have, but depending on the severity of the issue or the fight or what's going on is when they need to call in additional help. But other than that, I think that they should use the campus security that we have on staff already.
Mr. Banks.
This kind of ties into the latest question here. I just met with someone the other day and said right now in the state of California, there's one counselor for every 1,000 children. It's the average throughout the state. And there are more security officers employed than there are counselors. So that's a big problem. And from the parents I've talked to, there's a wide difference between what schools will do when a fight actually occurs versus bullying. Right now, there's still, it seems like there's nothing being done about bullying. And so there's no proactive work being done there when the bullying starts, and then the fight occurs, and then the school is being overly harsh with their punishments. So yeah, it needs to be addressed. I think the schools will be more proactive, hopefully, and more counselors. There'd be less fights, and hopefully so we can equally justify it across the population.
Jim, do you want to speak on that?
Okay. So I don't believe I personally attended school when that happened, but I have heard of those instances occurring more and more and definitely affecting students of color. I do believe that like restorative justice practices, instead of suspending them, instead of bringing all the security, bringing the students together with the school, with the parents, and kind of having that conversation of what's going on, how can we do this without bringing, such, police and security, because that in itself can be traumatizing to the students. There's not going to be us focused on their education if they're worried about if somebody picks on me and I get in a fight, what's going to happen. So definitely different practices.
Appreciate it. I was called out to a school in Elk Grove, a high school, by a parent who was concerned that her daughter was being bullied. And take that from Mr. Bain's suggestion that bullying is definitely a critical issue that our youth have to deal with. And it gets crazier when it takes on the cyber nature of bullying. And in this particular situation, a young lady, African-American female, was just continually being bullied by an old friend of hers. And she couldn't get stopped. Every time she looked at her phone, there was a note, there was this, there was that. And it just simply wouldn't stop. And so the mother went to the school principal and says, look, you guys are going to have to do something. These are kids that attend the school, and I'm tired of them bullying my daughter. She's in tears, she can't cope. She's in the bathroom crying during the day, she can't get her lessons done, and on and on and on. And I think we had to go to 3 meetings before we can bring resolution to this issue. How do panelists, what do you feel about cyberbullying, and what can we do as a community to decrease the impact?
With bullying, I feel like it all starts at home with the kids who do the bullying. So the parents how they act at school. And so to help decrease it, we can start by just having simple conversation with kids, because sometimes it's the bully who actually needs the help. So to just talk to them and to help them, and that's the way we can decrease it, and to let them know that there's people that will help.
To speak to the bullying, I agree with what you said, as well as also we have to be able to hold other students accountable. So when we see it, instead of just watching it or trying to ignore it, or it's just bullying that happens, you have to, in that sense, be reactive to it and stop it right there, or at least address it in a way that, or bring it to somebody's attention so that it is addressed, because oftentimes it's just not addressed. And when that happens, then there's really, from there, it's extensive bullying, and it just happens and continues to happen, instead of at least addressing it so it can, in some way, be solved however it has to be. So.
I agree with both of the statements. I believe that the parents need to be more involved. They need to know more what their children are doing on these cyberspaces, the Facebooks and the tweets and whatever else they're using, because bullying is a serious act, and someone will and can be hurt. My children are much older, and they didn't have the Facebooks and things at that time, but at one point, my son was being bullied, and what he did to try to protect himself is he took a hammer to school. But because the bus driver was made aware of it, no one was hurt in that instance. But nowadays, things are even more severe now, so you really parents need to really pay attention to what their children are doing. We need to go on their Facebooks and their web pages and follow and see what they're doing. I mean, I have a son that's whatever age I want to say, but I still follow his Facebook, and I still go on there and tell him, take that down. That's not correct. Apologize. I still follow him. And I just think that our parents, we still need to do that.
The other thing is adults and parents, please join the parent organizations at the schools. Please join the parent organizations so that you can go as a force rather than trying to handle it on your own. Because you don't get as far as fast on your own. But when you can actually join and find out if there is or literally become a part of the Black Parallel School Board, because that's where we're really taking action. It is important that we do this. We've got to, the only way we're going to bring change is that we become a united front. And we do have the things, we do have the tools and the ways that we can come together and that can actually make a difference.
I would definitely agree with everything. Like for me, when I lived with my mom, one of the things before I could even get social media was she had to have passwords and had to have all the access. And that was a mutually agreed upon conversation that this is what you have, but also like informing your kids of like internet safety and the stuff that can go on online. And also observing the behavior, whether your child is the bully or the one being bullied. Because I do remember a clear period of if I was being bullied, I'd go home and at least I was safe until the next day. But when it's on your phone and on your computer and being spread around to your friends, it's non-stop. And it can take a toll on someone's psyche. So making sure you're checking in with your kids, and if you notice a change in those behaviors, it could be that they are being bullied, and then having those access to their social media or having that conversation with them about, what's going on so that you can be the best advocate. Parents are the first and best advocates, the first and best teachers for these kids.
It's really interesting, and I think you're right. I hear a lot of people talk about what parents are doing when you look at cyberbullying. One of the things that's crucial to understand is when you look at Facebook and Google, their value is to get people to look at your phone. And they've created all kinds of techniques to get whoever the phone owner is to look, constantly look, because it trains them. It becomes addictive. And if you have a kid who cannot put their phone down, and you have kids like that, they're always constantly looking. We have to teach our kids that there's time for phone and there's time for no phone, because we don't want to create this addictive kind of behavior.
How we were your spot and we know what's happening, and that is true because you guys dealt with the same things, but things change over time. So even though you guys have experienced the same thing, it's a little bit different. So how you can help us is let us talk to you and be like, well, you're going through this, and this, and this. And speaking on the mental disabilities, with the program at my school called Best Buddies, we incorporate the special need kids and we make them feel like they're involved, because at our school they usually just sit by themselves, and with our club we want them to be included and to have friendships like regular kids do. And speaking on what she said about how they are powerful and how they're very smart, they are, because they say and they recognize things that we do recognize, but that we usually don't speak about. So they talk about that, and we take from what they say. We're like, wow, they're really making a point. And so with the kids with mental disabilities, they can be involved and they can be treated regularly.
And I think one of the most important ones is, as you mentioned, to meet them where they're at. A lot of the youth, whether it's, school troubles in the community, any kind of mental health, any kind of trouble they go through, they have their own set of experiences, their own set of bias, and that's what they carry with them when they're meeting with people to discuss these things. So you can't, just come in and just be like, okay, we're just going to knock it out. It is what it is. It's more of, okay, this is their experience. I got to listen to their experience first, because if I understand everything that they have been through and meet them right here, then we can start. And so just meeting them where they're at and working from there.
I think we have time for one more question. Everything hand went up over here. Is it still up? No? I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Whitlam for transition.
We're getting ready to transition for lunch. So, if you have not been around to see the vendors, please go by the exhibitors and see them. We have the Buffalo Soldiers, so that is history. I didn't know about the Buffalo Soldiers. I worked for Cigna, and my vice president came because I had a picture of the Buffalo Soldiers, Charlie Barnes did, on my wall. And he said, oh, did you read about the Buffalo Soldiers? They were never scalped by the Indians because of their hair. They killed them, but they never scalped them because their hair reminded them of the buffalo. Now, go see that they have a lot of history there for us to go and look at. And I'm going to see if I can get the children to come in and see them too. And then we have the Sacramento Unified School District Parent Information Exchange. They said join the PTA or the program at school. Please go and see them. They have activities the fourth Saturday, Monday of the month, and they provide child care for children, and they serve your lunch. Now, when I go to those meetings, I don't see parents who look like me. I see Hispanics, and I see Asians, but I don't see anybody that looks like me, and our children need to be there. We need to be there to represent what's going on with our children. And then we have Kaiser, we have NAMI, the Black Parallel School Board, Crossing Over, A Better Life, and A Better Life is for foster care. So go by and see them and collect information that you can use with your children. Because again, this is for you to have information should you need it to use. And when you finish, lunch is going to be ready. Food has been out the entire time that you can just go get it whenever, but lunch is going to be served to you. And we're going to come back at 12 o'clock, and we're going to start and...
We're going to have 2 more rotations of speakers. This will be the first, and we'll have one after that. The student or the youth speaker gets 15 minutes. The mentor gets 10 minutes. And then we'll have questions for a total of about 31 minutes. Appreciate it. Thanks. We can move forward. I want to present to you right now Sally Caldwell. He's going to speak to us today, and let me tell you just a little bit about him. After his father realized Marcellus had a special talent and a compassion for building, the family invested into an income property. Marcellus could explore more of his remodeling potentials. Within a month of Marcellus's adventure of working on his future first custom home, he and his brother went roller skating in the area to check out new neighbors and the many different styles of homes in the area. While one neighbor offered some barbecue, being it was Memorial Day, it started out to be a friendly introduction until an unknown car came around the corner and shot 5 people, shooting Marcellus in the head. Marcellus, or Sully as he likes to be called, injuries were so severe they left him hospitalized for several months. Although he survived, his dreams and plans have changed. No suspects have ever been detained or arrested. Let's listen to Marcellus.
Hey, how you guys doing? That's good. I'm happy to see all you guys here. I'm happy to be here. Just talking to you guys because I know you guys don't hear something really positive. So first of all, my name is Marcellus. Hello, I go by Sally, usually. And let's say about 2.5 years ago, I was involved into a bad scene where five people got shot, and I got the worst of it. Everyone was getting jacked in car and stuff, and I was left there dead. And I died for 20 minutes, and I got hit by about 47 male officers. Said I was dead. And my dad's close friend, her name is Bethany, she helped me because, you know, I was my dad's son. And she pushed everybody out of the way, and then she helped me revive me, and they gave me enough time for me to live, to survive, to get to the hospital. And I was a bad critical condition, and it's just really crazy how we living right now. And right now, I'm just kind of like I'm going through a lot of struggles. Even though it's bad to go through struggle, it's always good to pursue it. And it's kind of critical to talk about situations like this, because no one doesn't have a feeling of what I'm going through. And like, they're probably thinking in their head, they're like, oh, he's fine. But really, I'm stressing out. But I'll just do it. I like to have a positive vibe around me and positive people. And I really do appreciate people being around me. And it's mostly my family members, because that's the only people that can really care about you. Yeah, it's crazy doing like this, because, you know, I can't really do a lot of stuff like normal people, but I can usually get to do things. It gets more sometimes, but it's a good thing to just fight through it. rehab system between those two hospitals. UC Davis and Kaiser, but UC Davis really did start their game up because they had a lot of materials and stuff, a lot of equipment for me to use. And let's say, when I was first in the hospital, I couldn't talk for a month, and now I'm really hard for me. It was just like, I had to move for, that's the only what I had to do. I just had to blink, or yes or no, that's the only thing I had to do. But when I started talking, I was pretty much a communicator because I was demanding stuff what I needed. Or like, if I felt like I'm in pain, I'm like, oh, I'm in pain. Besides, like, not talking, dealing with pain. But I deal with pain a lot because when I first got shot, the bullet went in my head and then exploded in both of my shoulders. And I usually just have continuous pain. And it's hard to get through that. And I'm saying it's really, really hard. Because sometimes it's like, I don't want to take pills because pills are man-made and they're not good for you. At first, I was taking 21 pills, and then now I'm down to like 7. Because now I'm weaning off of them, and most of them I don't really need because I'm getting natural material inside, just taking vitamins and all that stuff daily. And when I usually take pills, it kind of reminds me of myself being in the hospital. Because at first, I couldn't swallow pills, but they had to flush it down my nose. Yeah. And then when I went to Santa Clara, that's when I was speaking and swallowing. And I had to take like at least like 30, 40 pills a day, 21 pills in the morning, and probably like some pain you just gotta be really nice, and you just gotta have a lot of mind. And you just have to really, like, think twice about everything. It really hurts you a little bit, but it will help you in the long run. I've been, right now, the only thing that's on my mind is pain. I used to get through pain a lot because sometimes I used to just ignore it, push it aside, and think on better things than just having it take care of your, take control of your attitude. And attitude is not good.
I really appreciate this. I'm going to get your mother in this conversation as well. This is Marthea Caldwell. She's a mother and caretaker of Selling. And we must be reminded that on Memorial Day 2016, he was shot in the neck by a drive-by shooter, and the Sacramento PD saved his life. And obviously the parents and the families also saved his life. So let's hear from her.
Hello, everybody. This is the prime example of an innocent drive-by.
Take your time.
Every shooter has a mother. And so what we need to do as a whole is get these guns off the street. Because this is the prime example of an innocent person at the wrong place at the wrong time. And how can it be wrong? This is the United States. You know, a lot of people ask me where your son gets shot at. In America. And so it's so hard for me as a mother to raise my children as I'm supposed to raise them. And they can't go outside and roller skate. And we don't know who this is. I haven't got a call one time from a private detective or the detective. It's been over 2 years. So we need to come together as a whole, as a community, forget snitching. Snitching is totally different. If you see somebody, you tell the police. All policemen aren't bad. And when this happened to Marcellus, Beth Glenn was a friend of ours with the Sacramento Police Department. It took her, because she knew us, to take that final step to go over and above as not only a police officer, but a citizen, and save Marcellus' life. Because he did die in the scene for 20 minutes. They wouldn't take him nowhere. Everybody else was getting drugged in cars, gone. When me and my husband got to the scene, he was on the sidewalk bleeding to death. Somebody robbed him and just left him there for dead. So when the police came, they had to secure the area before the ambulance could come in. What kind of world is this? So we need to put a stop to this, because it's only hurting our children. His dreams, I would have thought he would have got hurt driving, and I found that out after he got shot for drifting in my car.
But that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to be a professional race car driver. Straight A student. I told him, I said, you can do anything you can do. Anything you want to be, you can be it. And guess what? Right now, Marcellus, anything you want to be, you can still be it. He also got about being a, what is it?
Computer software designer.
And so he can still do it. He got a high school, and instead of making those violent games, make some games that create awareness to our young individuals. Who you hanging with? You go over somebody's house, you really don't know who they are. You can't, you really don't know who they are. You have to know who they are and who they hang with. Because guns don't have names on them. And if you carrying a gun, somebody know you carrying a gun. So get away from them. Run as fast as you can. Tell them. That's what I was saying. Tell them. So we started a foundation, the Marcellus James Caldwell Foundation, to prevent gun violence here in Sacramento. All over the world. Let's just start here. And what we do is every Memorial Day, we walk from the foundation to the crime scene. And my hope and wish is all these innocent victims here in Sacramento are getting shot. No one knows who it is. All it takes is one person to break an alibi. Walk on that block, blow that victim picture up. All somebody has to say is, he wasn't with that girl, he was at 7-Eleven. Breaks the alibi. Let's get these shooters off the street. Thank you.
Thank you again, Sally. We have any questions?
I don't have a question, but I'm just going to say something wrong. I'm sorry. The spirit is courageous. I don't know.
Yes, you did, because she didn't take it.
The spirit is courageous, and I understand. I have two that are close to his age, so I get what you're saying. Young man, you can be whatever you want to be. Thumbs up to you for coming and speaking before everybody. And my prayers are for you, strong mother, strong king. You are dynamic and continue to be a support system for your baby.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Me as a forensic psychologist, I am more inclined on doing scientific research to get the guns off the street safely or get them off with money, and money talks. So, would I buy a gun for $5,000? Yes, I would. So, that's what I want to do. I want to create something that people can feel safe. They can feel safe when they report other people having guns. I'm all for legal guns. I'm not trying to take no legal guns out, the house. But illegal guns, I'll do whatever it takes to get that illegal gun off the street. No question.
Hi, neighbor. What can we do to support you as you support your son? So I'm an untrained person in doing what you do, but how can I support you?
Okay, y'all ready to get your phones out? 916-212-1501 is my number. And every minute, every second of the day, I need support. 916-212-1501. My name name is Martha Caldwell. And to support me, you know, I walk around, no one has ever told me I was a weak black woman. So I feel strong. I still feel a lot of faith and honor and direction. But something that jumped on me, I don't know if it's a bad spirit, I don't know what it is, but something that jumped on me since he's been shot is like I'm in a box. So I need support. I need, hey girl, what you doing today? You know, can I help you with anything? You know, because me and Marcelo's been home for over 2 years. You know, and every time you read Rosemary, he's going back to the hospital, or, you know, he's having, Kaiser had blocked his home health for the first year of his condition because they said he didn't qualify for home health. And so I found out he did. But the whole year was critical for Marcellus' rehab, his wound care. It's just, the resources are not there. We have to go out and find them and research them on our own.
Tia, Celis, we are honored that you decided to come and tell us your story. I hope that there are people in the audience today who will respond to much needed requests, and it will expand the idea of that need throughout our community, and that's resources find their way to your doorstep. I'm hoping that works for you. Let's give them another round of applause. And so, you want to say one last thing before we close this out?
No, I don't think so.
Yes, you do.
I'm good.
So do I. Now we are going to have a conversation with Ayana Boateng. She is an actor, student at Sacramento High School. She has performed at the Sacramento Valley Section Sweet Potato Festival, and she's on our youth leadership team for Zero Tolerance. And so I get an opportunity to meet with her quite regularly, and I know that she has a lot to say, and I just can't wait to hear her comments. I know?
I don't use mics.
No, you got to use it because it's being recorded.
Oh, okay. Oh, can I say?
Yes.
Okay. So first, I want to say, out of reverence and respect, can we have like 30 seconds of silence, you know, for the people who died over this? Thank you. So my name is Ayana Boateng. I'm 16 years old. I go to Sac High and I'm with Zero Tolerance. For those who don't know, Zero Tolerance is an organization that tells you about the injustices going on in the school system, and particularly pertaining to, you know, minorities. And they also emphasize, you know, internal growth and, you know, help you with your speech and among other things like that. So before I start, I want to give you like a little quick introduction about myself. So why do I do what I do and what do I do? So what do I do is I'm a youth advocate for not only African Americans, but youth as well. And I do what I do because I'm tired of African Americans being seen as helpless and consumers and followers. I want the people who think that to see me and see my African American community and my youth as well. Who has impacted my voice? So first I'm going to shout out Carl, Daryl, and Crandall, Zero Tolerance. And they impacted my voice because it all started when my sister joined Zero Tolerance. I kind of followed in her footsteps, and I was in 7th and 8th grade when she was in Zero Tolerance. So I couldn't really join, but I was always like in the back, you know, gaining knowledge, but they always made me feel included. You know, and they taught me how important my voice is and finding my voice, you know. What I plan to do with my voice in the future is I plan to elevate, my African American community through guidance and therapy. I want to be some sort of life counselor or guidance counselor. And I continue to elevate positive relationships. So without further ado, I'm going to tell you guys first what the community can do for themselves internally, to provoke young African American leaders and to be, to provoke young African American leaders and to be better advocates for themselves. And I'm really excited to do this because I finally get to tell grown-ups what to do, I really feel grown doing this right now. So, all right, so the first thing you guys can do, and I only have one point for you guys, and it's to be emotionally and morally mature. And what I mean by this is, the first thing, I got 2 points under that, and it's to practice what you preach, do what you teach. If you're going to have a specific moral code or guidelines, you have to be following it. Say you tell your youth or your child, always open the door for elders, or never talk down on yourself, but you're doing that. Yes, we should follow your rules, but it's making you seem less credible, than you are. It's really important to follow your own moral code, because once you do that, now, as we're walking along this journey to become leaders and better advocates for ourselves, when we form our own moral code, now we are not only saying what we have to say, but we're practicing what we're preaching. You're teaching us to be men and women of our words. The second thing you guys should do is not letting everything bother you. Like, not letting people's words or incidents or certain things bother you. And what do I mean by this is not letting everything get you out of your character. And that's what I feel like a lot of adults need to fix. And this is really important in cultivating leaders and young advocates for themselves, because you guys are all role models, right? Everybody, just assume that somebody is looking up to you. So when the person you're mentoring or your child is looking up to you and saying, oh, well, my mom or my mentor is letting the world offer what they're supposed to do, now I'm going to subconsciously do it. And it's not helping build our character. It's de-elevating it. So now I'm going to talk about emotional support, how you guys can emotionally support us. And the first thing I have to say is stop protecting us from backlash and criticism. This is extremely important. In the world, there's going to be depression, there's going to be fear, there's going to be anxiety, there's going to be heartbreak, there's going to be a lot of things. And as horrible as it is, I feel like personally, it builds character, but it's really important that we have your constructive criticism. Something about me is I am a control freak. Okay? You don't want to be with me when I'm in group projects, because I'll do everything. I don't like when other people do stuff for me, because I feel like I get things efficiently done. I'm the only person who can do that. I'm the only person who can do it thoroughly, And somebody told me, Ayana, you need to step back and let other people grow and do it for themselves, because how are they going to learn if you do everything for them, And it's that constructive criticism that grew me to who I am today. Or say your son or your daughter wants to play basketball. They're good at basketball, but they're a ball hog. They don't want to share the ball with nobody. Now, don't say, oh, you suck, you need to be on the team, or this, or that. It's constructively criticism. Start off with something that's good. Start off with something that's good about their craft or what they do, or something internally about them. And then you say it with something that can help them become better. And then end it off with something good as well. That's efficient, constructive criticism to me. This is cultivating leaders and better, youth advocacy, because it's not only perfecting their craft, but they're becoming the best versions of themselves. And it's important that, they be open to constructive criticism throughout life, because not everybody is going to particularly be on their side or just praise them for everything they do. The next thing I have to say for emotional support is authenticity. Like the lady said, authenticity is the quality of being authentic. It's not exactly a who you are, but it's a what you are, because who you are is consistently changing, but what you are, it's in you, it's not changing. And it's really important. So what this has to do with you is you should always be striving to make your child be truly who they are. I'm not saying do not elevate them and do not push their potential that they have, because I feel like every born leader has some sort of potential, but they just need a little push. But the thing is, sometimes a lot of grown-ups, they try to put their expectations on us. And the thing is, if it's in us, it's in us. And if it's not, it's not. You know, you should always be trying to help us, you know, be who we are and make us realize how important, you know, our future is, but try to not deter us from actually who we are. This is really important in cultivating leaders and, you know, youth advocates, because for me, it's really important for, you know, cultivating leaders, because I feel like once you support your child in their, you know, authenticity, then they become more comfortable with themselves. And the more comfortable they are with themselves, like, oh, my mom or my role model or my mentor is, you know, confident in myself, now I'm more confident in myself, and I believe in myself. And the more confident they are equals more comfortability. And more comfortability equals, oh, now I'm more comfortable to lead a group of people, or not only that, but I'm more comfortable to speak my truth. The third thing I would like to say for emotional support is keeping us accountable. Raise your hand if, as a youth, you made a lot of mistakes. Yes, everybody's hand should be up. Right. And the thing with that is, like, I feel like everybody makes mistakes, but when you're a teenager, like, you make a lot of mistakes. And I think it's really essential that you start off young. You try to get out those habits now. So I'm gonna tell y'all a story, and I used to be uncomfortable with telling this story, but I'm gonna tell everybody. So when I was 8, I was obsessed with pens, like really obsessed with pens. It was a weird obsession I had, and it was around Christmas time. And my mom took me to the store. She took me to Walmart, and she was like, "Come on, Ari, tell me what you want on your list, you know." And I said, "Mom, I want pens." And I took her to the section, and I was like, "Mom, can I have these pens?" And she said, "Maybe." And my heart dropped, because when my mom says maybe, that means no. Okay? So I took it upon myself to put the pins in my shirt and walk out the store with it. I know, it's bad. And see, I got away with it temporarily, you know. When we got home, I had a field trip the next day. And I was like, "Mom, can you sign my permission slip?" And she was like, "All right." So my smart self decided to take the pins out of my jacket and give that to her to sign with. And she said, "Aren't those pins from the store?" And there was really no point in lying. And I was like, "Yeah." And what she did was, see, most of my friends' parents would have just said, "Don't do it next time," or throw the pins away. But what she told me to do, we walked all the way back to the store, and y'all, that was a mission. We walked all the way back to the store. She took me to the security guard and the manager, and she made me apologize. And the thing with that is, she kept me accountable for my actions, and I was embarrassed at first, but looking back on it, I really am thankful for her. You know, accountability is really important when you're trying to cultivate leaders and better advocates, because once you keep them accountable, you're not going to have to do it forever, because now they're keeping themselves accountable, which I'm doing to this day. Now, aside from emotional support, the last thing I have for you guys is external support. So what can you do environmental-wise? And I think it's really essential that we have more youth organizations, youth-involved organizations. Youth-involved organizations are organizations that are centered primarily around youth, or not just, if it's not centered around youth, they encourage, youth presence. An example of a youth organization is MWLA, Women's Men's Leadership Academy, or Black Lives Matter. They're not youth-centered, but they greatly encourage youth, or Youth Service America, or different things like that. And it's really important that we have youth organizations, because youth organizations have 3 key components in just support and leaders. They have mentors, they have lessons, and they have empowerment. Mentors are really important when you're trying to gain support, because thankful to my mentors over here, I can do this. I can get up and talk to you guys as confident as I can, and I can articulate my words in a certain way. Youth organizations, they have lessons. I feel like the educational system right now is failing us. I feel like all around the educational system should be teaching us not just education, but lifelong, exactly, lessons. And youth organizations, I feel like they don't just teach education, but they teach us things that we can take with us along our journey that we won't forget. And the third thing is empowerment. It's extremely important to gain confidence, and youth organizations empower not just people, but youth all around. And it's important to have these organizations because, like I said, they help build your personality. And the last thing I want to say is support, support, support. You know, you can tell your youth, oh, I believe in you, I trust in you, and you're going to do great at this. But if you never show up to what's important to them, it kind of contradicts to what you're saying. So say your daughter or son, they like to play the piano, and you say, oh, go break a leg or something like that. But when they look up on the stage, you're never there. You know, it's extremely important that you are engaged in what, you know, your youth or your child is trying to do, because not only are you saying that you support them verbally, but you're physically there. And I feel like when you're supporting your youth, it's important that it's that balance. You need to be there, show up, but you also need to encourage them, you know, mentally. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
No, it's good. The thing that really stood out to me for both of them as I sat back to just listen, I took a chance as a mentor. I did not pre-listen. When they were outside, I did not go out and coach them. I wanted to see what would come from their heart. I wanted to see how they would develop this first TED Talk and be the influence that they need to be to their peers. Why am I sharing this with you? For the adults that are left, that did stay, I want to say to you, this is kind of what young people need. I don't know why people left. I don't know what was on their agenda today, but to me, unless they stay to the end, they miss the point.
Right.
And so my whole thing, and I hope you see the video, no condemnation, but the reality is that we've got to stay put for our young people. We've got to be able to give them support. She just said, that was the last thing she said, support, support, support. And so I applaud those who stay, whether you're on the committee or whether because you have to be here. From this point, choose to be here because you want to be here. That's the most important thing. Our young people are going through so much. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to pray with this one. I was one of the former youth ministers in Calvary Christian Center. But I remember the day that I had to, in Oakland, when I had to work with the family for 4 hours while they waited on their son to die. It was one of the most challenging moments in my life. I'll never forget that. And being able to work with them and stay in that room. Grandmama had a heart condition. The sister was hysterical. They literally brought her in, holding her by her hands and her feet, one on each limb. And as she just, and Grandma had to watch this. And then the other family members that came in. And so then I pulled the other guys that were there, that were his street entrepreneur friends. I had to, I just pulled to the front. I said, see this? Do you really want this for your mom? Do you really want this for your dad? They turned their lives around that day. Some of them gave their lives to Christ, some of them didn't. But all of them are professionals today. The one that I know of for sure is an engineer, and the others are working and living their lives and family members. Why am I saying this? Because it's, again, that happened in 1988. You hear me? still connected with those young people today. My oldest mentee is 52 years old. I'm still connected to him. He just retired early, and he's doing big things in Houston. And he contacted me to pray with him because I was with him when he made every major transition in his life. When I say that you are important and your staying ability is vital, I really mean it because I live it. I'm still doing it. I'm 37 years in this game. I've been working here in the school systems and with youth here in Sacramento since 1992 when I got here. So my encouragement to those of you who are youth practitioners, don't stop. Stick with it. Stay with it. My encouragement to young people, keep doing what you're doing to make your lives better. Keep rising humbly and see how you can help your peers make a difference, bring change, and do what is needed to make their world, your world, our world, a better place.
All right, folks, questions? No one has a question? Well, you know I have questions. Roy? Sir. I think they want you to use a microphone because we're recording.
From the personal perspective, Carroll School Board and the National Council will be putting this event on. So if you're part of the organization, you should be proud of what you're doing. And if you're staying committed for 4 days, this would be more than anything I've been to so far. Number one. Number two, to the gentleman talk about gang violence, yes, we have to deal with that, but yes, we also deal with police. From where my neighbor comes from, Carl teased me, South Central, that I understand. My colors were red, or red. But I also say, police department here, they must be black. So we have to do 2 minutes, stop all killing each other, stop them killing each other. So we do go 2 minutes. But I noticed this room is most of the ladies in here. Last time I heard black women make things happen in the community, they make things happen in the nation. We need to step up and make things happen. If you move us, or maybe not me, but I'm a bad boy. But if you do move, and we need more young brothers in here, and the football players, all those folks. Mr. Crown, whatever he has to work with at that time, but that's a charter school. Can we put the same fine program in our public schools? That's my question. And can you tell the principal, this is deep for our black families? Because we don't, we will lose it. We got an election coming up next Tuesday here. You have administration and administration. Whoever gets it, we need to do in this front door say, this is what we need in our schools. Period. National company, what the black girls do, what make that leadership. The question that currently is this: is there anybody else that you want that we can't do you?
Yeah.
But hold on. Thank you for that statement and question, Mark.
Their organization is now IYT.
Improve your tomorrow.
Yes, improve your tomorrow. Okay. There's the new, well, relatively new mentoring program that meets in our building.
Yeah.
Hawk. Yeah, Hawk. And the, of course, the Men and Women's Leadership Academy that I work for and work with. What we're doing with this group here. And there's about 7 organizations right now that are really active and doing things across the city. Again, my encouragement to all our organizations is to be able to come together and be able to make sure that we're not trying to beat each other out, being over competitive, looking to see how we can do more joint collaborative functions, activities, so that they can see the unity and harmony that can be between adults, 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 that can be between adults. I guess I've been doing poetry too long, huh? That can be between adults, because it really can be if everybody chooses to do so. If everybody would just be able to say, Daryl Robbins, Rick Jennings, crying to you, bring us together so that we can do it together better. And I know God will give you the way, because you're the biggest organizations in the city. How can we do it better? How can we do more together? That's what's going to be really vital to now. Thank you.
You said you want to say something? Ayala, I want to remind you, you were involved in the training sessions at Sac High School last year. Were you involved in that? Okay. Then I have a question for you. Were you involved in the protest? Second? Could you tell us what it's like to be a student leader and advocating for not only yourself but other students for fairness and equity in schools?
It's really empowering, to see, because Sac High, we used to, like, my sister and brother was there, it was like a huge community, like everybody knew each other, and now it's like we're a community, but sometimes it takes a huge event or sometimes a sort of catastrophe for us to come together, so it was really empowering to see us come together and do something positive. We were all uplifting each other. And it was really empowering. It wasn't just us, it was the community as well. So we had like Black Lives Matter come out, and we had them come out. Like, it was really, and our old teachers and other people who were fired, like they bought us food for lunch and all that kind of stuff. It was really empowering, but it was a burden. Like, I wouldn't say it was a burden because it wasn't just me and Isaiah. Like, there were other leaders as well. But it's like, when you're dominant, like when you're seen as a dominant person, like a lot of people come to you for certain stuff, and that you take the blame for a lot of things. And I'm an empath, so when people come and tell me stuff, I feel their pain. Like, say my friends come and tell me, my sister, she got kidnapped, I'll cry for them. Or, he broke up with me, like stuff like that. Like, if you tell me something, I will feel it for you. So, and when I saw a lot of students crying, or like the people out there, I felt it. And like conducting an 8-hour protest is a lot of work. And keeping everybody's spirits up, but we had help. So it was empowering, but I wouldn't say it's a burden, but it's like a lot to take in emotionally,
Any additional questions? Oh, let her say it.
I was saying I wanted to be clear about what we do for protesting about.
Okay.
Because I have this young lady, another young lady was at about the second.
Okay.
What we were protesting about was, I'm just giving you the butter down version. Well, not the butter down version, I'm giving like the short and simple version. There was, just saying, there was a lot of Caucasian people coming in. It wasn't even the race. It was the fact that they were trying to change the culture of Sac High without really knowing the culture. And the kind of rules that they were implementing, it was affecting all of us. And we just got tired of it, because all of us seen Sac High, like when it was really high up, like everybody loved it. And it was a place to be, and it was a place where, you know, people who didn't think they had a future could come in and, you know, thrive there. But now, like, the people that's in power now, they're implementing rules, like, based on stereotypes. And not only that, but they're not making it a safe space anymore emotionally, you know, and I feel like that's really important when you're in school. So, yeah, that's basically it.
Okay, so emotional support.
Emotional support and, yeah.
And I also know that I have grandchildren that go through there, and there's several scenes from here to there. And around the one of my friends.
Can you repeat that again, please? Using the microphone?
Is because I've had grandchildren graduate through the charter school and been very successful. I have one grandson right now is working on his PhD at the University of Pennsylvania. And this is Crandall. I got an opportunity to tell him that he was putting on my grandson's life. And I wasn't too clear about what concerns were. And that's why we have this HBCU colleges where we can take care of our children emotionally. And I wish you guys that.
Really appreciate that. And I want to close out this section by reminding everyone in here that one of the biggest gifts that we can give our children is motivation. We have to understand that any kid can learn, and any condition can learn, that learning is something that's easy. But the will to want to learn sometimes is what's difficult. So when you look at African parents, when they look at their kids, they already understand they can learn. And they see their position and their responsibility in that whole process as the motivator. So sometimes we have to always remember that when we say nice things to kids, that's good. But we need to add a little bit more to it and create and make motivation. And we will then see what it is that we want our kids to be. Tommy?
Great. Let's give our moderator a hand, please. I have worked with Daryl, and I do understand his commitment to our children and to the parents. I was there for April 1st, just before April 1st, and his April Fool's joke was, the Black Parallel School Board has decided to write a grant, something to that effect, taking money from the school district. Well, I went my first Black Parallel School Board is when I heard that the reason that they are successful is that they have no ties, that they don't accept money. So I knew that that wasn't a joke. I didn't buy that. But anyway, if you are a youth here and you're in high school and you need a community service a certificate, come over. Now the speakers we have you taken, you're already taken care of. If you are a foster care person and you need educational credit, we have a certificate for you as well, that you can get educational credits for being here today. And I'm going to ask our president, Donna Wood, if she would come up. We've asked the youth to be here. You may stay there, you don't have to stay in place. And we would like to acknowledge them with their certificate.
It's my pleasure to express our sincere gratitude for the students participating today. I think you can hear from their messages that they mean business and they need our support. So thank you so much for being here today as well. And at this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Soto to come forward. Thank you for your powerful message today, and I encourage you to go forward, share your strengths, share your knowledge. Continued success. Thank you. Yes, we got it.
Smile.
There you go.
Oh, thanks. All right, thank you. Come forward. Woo! Yes. Yes, thank you for your very powerful message. I think you shared with all of us how you can recover from something that is so catastrophic. Thank you for spending time with us today, and again, continue success.
Turn around and smile. Thank you. I'm sorry.
And may I ask Ms. Ayana Bhutan to come? Ayana, I think we can all agree that she brought the house down, did she not? Yeah. She got our attention and she gave us a to-do list. Pretty impressive. So Ayana, thank you for spending your time and your very important message with us today. Continued success. Mr. Crandall, we'd like to extend our hearty thanks to you today for spending time with us and coaching and mentoring the kids. We hope you've enjoyed the time you spent with us. We look forward to continued relationships.
Amen.
You ready? Okay, here it comes, Crandall. Move over just a little bit.
He had to leave. He has another engagement. But I think you can see that there's an organization out there that is willing to partner with us in the mental health community. And we just wanted to say thank you and acknowledge his contribution.
Thank you.
Come back so they can take your
And Mr. White, Darrell White, we can't thank you enough for your contribution to the success of today's program, working with the students, keeping the program moving, and I would hope that we have a long-term relationship with you. All right?
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your
thank you.
support. All right. Thank you. And will Jesslyn Freeman come forward and Sedaris Wesley Smith? Sedari? Sedari?
Okay, they're not here.
They're not.
No, he can't be. He's not here.
Yes, right. Jesslyn, thank you for supporting us today, volunteering your time. And this is just a certificate of our appreciation for your supporting the Children's Conference 2018. Thank you.
To ensure that this thing came out without any hitches, and I want to say thank you. Thank you. And we're going to have, it's on the program that I would do the closing remark. First of all, are there any announcements? Yes.
Thank you. I would just like to thank Ms. Tommy Whitlow for all of her guidance and direction and love for parents and children in our community. And so on behalf of the planning committee, we'd like to present you. And we'd also like to present the new president of the National Council of Rural Women some flowers also.
Thank you. I thought you were doing announcements.
I have to get in here somewhere.
You know, you've been a great audience because when there was a lull, you still hung in there. And thank those who are generous and gave to the MJC Foundation. Thank you very much. Our closing remarks will be by our president. And we'll see you next year, the 4th Saturday in October.
the vendors.
Vendors, thank you. Exhibitors, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I am sure that people have taken things home, and it's important that when you get home and something comes up, oh, I went to the Children of Promise, I have this card here, let me call that person. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
In our 18th celebration of Children of Promise, we certainly do look forward to you in 2019. Before I leave, I just want to thank Sharon Saffold, because it was her idea. It was her idea to bring a program whose name has children in it, to include the children in the program this year with the TED Talk format. So Sharon, thank you so very much for bringing us a fresh idea that I think we can continue forward in years to come. Thank all of you for the time you spent with us today. Thank you to our partners, to our sponsors. I look forward to seeing you in 2019. Thank you.
Community. And so on behalf of the planning committee, we'd like to present you. And we'd also like to present the new president of the National Council of Queer World Women some flowers also.
Yeah, beautiful.
I had to get in here somewhere.
Program this year with the TED Talk format. So
That's
Sharon,
nice.
thank you so very much for bringing us a fresh idea that I think we can continue forward in years to come. Thank all of you for the time you spent with us today. Thank you to our partners, to our sponsors. I look forward to seeing you in 2019. Thank you.